Good afternoon, everybody. We'll get started in about a minute. All right. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody, as we welcome Clay Holmes to the organization. With that, we're going to jump right into questions. If you wouldn't mind, please use the raise your hand feature located in the bottom of the screen. And if you're having issues, you can just simply message me. With that, we'll start off with Anthony DiComo from MLB.com.
Hey Clay, congratulations. Can you just take us through the genesis of the idea of you signing somewhere as a starter, how far back you had been thinking about this, and maybe what those initial discussions were like with teams?
Definitely, appreciate it. Excited to be here. With the Mets. Yeah, I mean, something that I've always kind of had in the back of my mind. I would say, throughout my career. Obviously there was a little bit of, interest, even way back when, like at the end of 2020, like going overseas to be a starter that, somewhat excited me. So I think it's, something that's always been there for me. And even throughout this year, I think, just kind of out of fun. My bullpens, I was, throwing a change up, throwing a four seam, just to kind of keep things, fun and light. And I think, out of that kind of realizing, what could be of an arsenal, there was, jokes and talks about throughout the year. And, toward the end of the year, there was definitely some like, hey, like, what if this happens type thing. And then, early in the off season, I was kind of met with a few teams that, had some interest. And I think it kind of really opened the door for a more serious conversation, and it's something that my agent and I had, and it's something that I think at the end of the day, it was like, if this opportunity is here, I think I didn't want to look back, then in my career and say, man, what could have come from that? And I think it was something that, still, deep down I had, passion for it, and excited me, and, very thankful for, this opportunity that's come here with the Mets. Get to stay here in New York and be with the Mets to, pursue this opportunity. I don't think there's a better place. So super excited to be here.
And just a quick follow-up, you mentioned the four seam and the changeup. To what extent have you been kind of more seriously working on those pitches this winter, or what has your off-season throwing been like so far?
Yeah, I mean the four seam, something I brought out kind of super late in the season. Just because you know on paper it may not be the best pitch, but I think so seeing how much hitters have to respect the sinker, there's some room for it there, and I think I saw that at the end of the year. The changeup's been something that I've kind of messed around with over the course of the year. Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where now the Mets assistant pitching coach Desi, is with the Yankees last year. He would have the whole bullpen situation set up with the strings and track mans and all this stuff, and occasionally a couple of us would kind of get there and just have fun. And I asked the guy for his changeup grip and started throwing it. I was like, wow, that's not too bad. And I kept throwing it. I was like, man, this could actually be something. And so I think just there's some room there for an arsenal that's kind of it's tough to do as a reliever. You have a very limited window and pitches you can keep sharp, and you kind of have to rely on your strengths a lot more. But I do think I have the depth of the arsenal to be a little more unpredictable than just relying on my sinker all the time. And I think starting gives me the best opportunity to do that and expose it. So I'm excited to see what this can bring. They change up in the four seam.
We'll go to Will Salmon from The Athletic next.
Hey Clay, thanks for doing this. What made the Mets the right fit for this for you, for this challenge of going back to being a starting pitcher?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons here that the Mets drew me in. For one, I think the leadership here. It starts with the Cohen family and David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza. I think just seeing their leadership and their vision, their belief is definitely something that um, was very appealing. I think the culture here is they've created is something that I think people want to be a part of, and there's real momentum here. And then talking with Jeremy Hefner, and obviously I know Desi, and just the resources they have here and who they are as coaches and things they've done with starting pitchers. I saw that there was a real fit. I've trusted, just the conversation I've had with them. I think there's a lot of trust in kind of what they're able to do and what they see, and how they're able to develop starting pitchers and even do that in the big leagues. So I think just the people here, and then it just gave me a lot of confidence that there's definitely not going to be a transition that just happens. I can do by myself, and so surrounding myself with people that I felt really good about was important. And I think every step of the way, kind of what they showed me, and kind of who they are and how they can help me, gave me a lot of confidence in it. And super excited to get to work with the pitching group here. I think from what I've seen, they have a lot to offer.
Next, we'll go to Abby Mastraka from the Daily News.
Hey Clay, what's your experience been like with Desi, and what do you think he's going to add to the pitching group with the Mets?
Yeah, I mean Desi, I mean, yeah, he's a guy that, I mean, like I said, earlier, he set up all of our bullpen, but just a guy that super dependable, super consistent. I mean, he was always, I mean, one of the hardest workers. I mean, he made sure we had every resource available to us. With that, he's very knowledgeable about a lot of things, but specifically, two things I think that pertain a lot to me, which is the pitch design and workload management. And so, I think he brings a lot to the table, and super excited to have that familiar face. As I go through this this transition. So, super happy to still be with Desi, and I think it was a great hire for the Mets. So I'm excited to stay with him, and like I said, has a ton to offer.
What kind of a challenge do you think managing your workload is going to be as you transition to a starter and start throwing more pitches?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the biggest thing is just the monitoring. It's hard to just put arbitrary numbers on things and say if you hit this number, I mean, that's all you can handle. I don't so much believe in that. I think there's definitely things that you need to monitor to see, how your body's holding up and the strength and some mobility things. But my intention going in is to throw 160 innings. I want to throw as many innings as I can. Obviously, you want to do that safely, and there are things to monitor to make sure those innings and when you're out there is done correctly, and there's not too much risk put on it. But I have a lot of confidence in the training staff there. I mean, just conversations and tests I've already done with them. There are things that we've already identified that could be really big for me. So that was a big thing going into it, just knowing that there's very kind of how they see the workload and kind of how they want to monitor it was appealing to me, just because they kind of believe that as long as things in my body stays in a good spot, I'm good to keep throwing. And I think that's something that obviously I take a lot of pride in, but obviously I want to go out there for as many innings as I can. I don't want to put just a cap on it. So excited to get to work with that group and do all I can to throw as many as I can.
Next, we'll go to Dan Martin from the New York Post.
Hey, Clay. Speaking of reunions, how closely did you follow the Soto stuff, and what's going to be like playing with him again, seeing what he did for you with the Yankees last year?
Yeah, I mean, super pumped about it. I got to see a full year of what he's capable of, and it's incredible. I mean, the game, there's a lot of ups and downs in the game, but if there's one guy that defines consistency, especially with a bat, it's Juan Soto. So I mean, it's impressive to watch, and deep down, I can't lie. I mean, I've obviously made my decision. I think it's the best place, but hopefully, I was like, maybe Juan sees this and sees that the water's fine and will follow me over here. So I'm super pumped for it and glad that the Mets were able to sign him.
Did you have any conversations with the Yankees about starting?
No, no.
Thanks.
Next up, we'll go to Laura Albanese from Newsday.
Hey Clay, I mean, you've started before. When you're looking at this challenge, whether it be arsenal or mindset or even durability, what do you think is going to be the biggest hurdle for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to get, I think, excited and just about using the arsenal in different ways and changing usages and what could be. But I think the biggest challenge could be is hey, your sinker is still your biggest strength, and when that's good, a lot of this other stuff is just like makes it that much better. And I think the challenge for me is to continue to keep it simple. My sinker development since I last started has been it's night and day from where it was when I started previously, and I think that's just going to add to the potential of what this could be. And not to forget that. So hey, your sinker is your best pitch, and when it's there, I mean, you can rely on a lot of different situations. It's going to be easy to kind of want to wander off from that, but I think keeping that the main thing and make sure that's good and letting things flow from there, I think would be a big key because I think that's one thing that can make this so successful is trusting my sinker and not feeling I have to be so perfect with it. As I can start, I can trust the defense and feel like I can let my best pitch work and let the defense work. And I think that'd be a huge thing of what I can bring to starting. And like I said, I think there's room for development in other areas. The change up and four seam, but keeping the sinker my best pitch is going to be have to remain definitely a priority.
You had mentioned the defense. I guess what's your level of excitement of being able to pitch in front of Francisco Lindor and just that entire group there?
Definitely. I mean, Francisco is special out there, and I've seen it for a while, and to have him behind me, I mean, it's just a dynamic group that I'm excited to have behind me. A lot of great players on this team, and when you can look back and see players like that, with the Gold Gloves, I mean, it's just, especially as a sinker baller, it gives you that much more confidence and trust. So super pumped to have those guys behind me and go to compete with them.
Next, we'll go to Andrew Chudnik.
Hey Clay, welcome. I'm just curious, what does the off season maybe look like for you over these next few months, maybe even heading into spring training? And is there anything maybe you've changed making that transition from a reliever to a starter over these next few months?
Yes, I mean, good question. I think for one, I mean, right now I'm kind of fortunate, to have some good starters around me that I'm kind of working out and training with. So a lot to learn from there. Even Garrett Crochet, he's working out, throwing with him. The guys recently made the transition, so definitely learning from guys that have done it and kind of see how they go about their business and kind of how they prepare for the season and how that meshes with what I do and making those adjustments. But there's definitely obviously a little bit of conditioning aspect that goes to it, but even as a reliever, I got off the mound a lot earlier just because I believe in mound throwing. It helps my delivery and whatnot. So I wasn't a super late guy to start throwing, even get off the mound as a reliever. So the timeline doesn't really change a lot for me. It's just, I'll continue to build up, throughout January versus kind of stalling what I would do as a reliever. That's something that, definitely trust, the Mets a lot with that build up and what that looks like. But early on, especially now and, through early January, things will probably be similar. Besides a few maybe extra, conditioning things. But, once probably get down, to Port St. Lucie early and begin that build up instead of just kind of stalling out of that 1-2 inning mark.
Next, we'll go to Mike Fitzpatrick.
Hey, Clay, congratulations. Just you're the maybe not the latest in a long line, but among a long line of players, coaches, managers who have switched sides here from the Yanks to the Mets. Just wondering if that sort of thing, in your case at least, made it a little more comfortable, that there's several guys that you've played for and played with on the other side of town now, as you were considering making that move.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there's some people there that have kind of gone before, and it's like, there's a little group there. But I mean, personally, I don't see it so much as, a rival, like you're switching sides. I don't know. I don't really view it as too much of like a competition thing. Obviously I've seen, New York up close and personal. I love the city. I've seen the Mets fans just from, right across the city, just the energy and passion and how much they care, what they bring, to the fan base. And, that's something that, I want to be a part of. I think, being able to stay in New York City and join the Mets and what's being built there, and hopefully keep this momentum going, is something that drew me there, I would say, versus, feeling so much like it's a competition, like I'm, switching sides. But like I said, I'm super pumped just to stay in New York and be here with the Mets. As a player, I may not always show it, not a ton of emotion, but I care a lot, just about the game and my craft and what I can be, and the teammate I am. And I think with the Mets fans, that level of care is matched. And I think as a player, when you feel that kind of reciprocated, it's really all you can ask for. It makes winning that much sweeter. And so super pumped to be here and join this organization.
Tony?
Clay, one more from me. Have you talked to Michael King at all about what it was like to transition back into starting? And obviously that he's not the only one who's done that successfully the past few years. How much confidence did guys like him, Seth Lugo, Ronaldo Lopez give you in wanting to do this?
Yeah, he's on my list for sure. I haven't talked to him yet, but he's going to be one of the guys that I kind of pick his brain for sure. And yeah, when you see guys make the transition, it definitely it's like, man, hey, this is possible and this is cool. There's kind of somewhat of a little roadmap, and you see how guys do it. And so yeah, it feels like you're, it's not super common, but you don't feel like you're in uncharted water. So I think seeing those guys, and especially what King's been able to do, has been incredible. Super happy for him, and having guys like him and seeing some of the guys you mentioned go before is, it makes you believe it, even that much more. So yeah, can't wait to pick his brain. He's always got a lot to offer.
Thank you.
Mark Roseman?
Congratulations, Clay, on the contract. You talked about some of the physical things, but you were a starter before, so you know what game day meetings, day of pitching are like. What is the difference between those game day meetings for a reliever, where you might know which 2 or 3 batters you might be called upon, as opposed to a full, pitchers meeting for every 5th day start?
Definitely, that's one of the things that I'm sure there'll be a lot of conversations about. Obviously, facing every hitter, 2 or 3 times, is the biggest difference. So it's just one of those things where, you kind of have to see where your strengths match up to hitters and where you can potentially get them out a couple different times. And I think that's where, the depth of Arsenal kind of comes into play a little bit. And kind of what excites me about this is being able to expand that and kind of use that, be a little more unpredictable and get guys out, in multiple ways versus just, kind of pigeonholing myself into a corner where I live and die with one pitch. I think I'm excited for that aspect. Definitely more of, strategic planner type guy. So I think, just that preparation and thinking things through is definitely something that is appealing and probably fits, who I am, and my personality probably a little better. So, that's one of the things I'm excited about of kind of diving into and seeing exactly what I need to prepare to get hitters out multiple times.
And Howard Megdal.
Clay, congratulations. Two for you if I can. The first, and Anthony touched on a little bit, there have been a number of guys who have done this, who have made this jump. I'm wondering if there is a particular person you have seen and a particular way of doing it, because, whether it's Lugo or Hicks or anyone, they've gone to attack starting in a different way.
Yeah, I think you see a couple different routes. I mean, in this past year, just seeing Michael King, I mean, he leaned on his changeup quite a bit, and I mean, he was pretty. You look at his usages, and they were pretty split, evenly. And like Lopez, he added like a little curveball in there, but he still leaned on his fastball quite a bit. So there's definitely different ways to go about it and do it. Obviously Lugo's expanded his arsenal. So I think it's just figuring out, kind of where you're at and kind of what the game's demanding. And I do think that, becoming a little bit more unpredictable, especially the lefties, and expanding that arsenal is definitely going to help me, play for those lefties. So, I'm excited to take this on and see what that looks like.
And just related to that, you mentioned the challenge of ramping up innings. The Mets and David Stearns has talked about not having innings limits for starting pitchers. I just wonder how much that plays a part in you wanting to do this, and whether you'd want to take on being a starter if you knew, gee, you'd have to stop at a particular innings limit well short of, let's say, a full season.
Definitely. I mean, I think there's parameters. They're not just going in blindly and just saying, go run free. They have a great system in place, but like you said, there's no hard cap on, hey, this is the max you can do. It's kind of, hey, we're gonna push you as far as you can, within these guardrails, and I think that's excites me. It excites me. I want to go at it. I've been in the bullpen for years now. Like, I want to go as deep as I can, for those guys down there too. So it's just, not having those kind of arbitrary numbers definitely was a draw. I want to just go at it full go and, see how far we can take it.
All right. Well, Clay, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations and welcome to the Mets. And thank you very much, everybody else, for joining us today. This concludes the press conference.
Thank you, guys.